Well, Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. I'm really looking forward to the conversation. I know there's a lot going on in the Web3 space and NFTs and all this fun stuff. So I would love to hear a little bit more about what brought you to this space and what All Certified does right now.
Sure. Joe, I have always been a sports guy, primarily a baseball guy and a baseball card collector. And I have about 2,000, 2,500 baseball cards.
Wow.
And growing up, I always knew that going to a sports memorabilia show, you stand in line and you wait for Reggie Jackson or Tom Seaver or Johnny Bench, and you would always get their signature, and they would be the most valuable cards in your collection. Fast forward in the spring, or excuse me, the winter of 2021, NBA launched NBA Top Shot,
Of
which is
course, yeah.
which is of course the NBA clips where they sell NFTs. And I thought, how cool. In my lifetime, we have gone from little pieces of cardboard to digital images, and you have different collectors. So you look at a James Harden and you look at a Steph Curry, and then the light bulb went off. And I said to myself, you know something? My most valuable cards in my collections are those signed. Wouldn't be neat if you have the ability to get a authorized digitized blockchain autograph on an NFT. And I said, okay, so with an IT and computer science background, I woke up the next morning, closed the door, and 14 hours later came out with the work process flow, the AI, the database, the cloud infrastructure, and I filed the patent. And
Wow.
that's the story of how All Certified came into being.
That's amazing. My goodness. So out of curiosity, since you are a computer guy, what type of blockchain did you use? Are you open to different
We
types
are
of blockchains?
open. We can either go on chain or off chain, and
Okay.
it makes no difference to us. What we try to do, Joe, is we try to decouple ourselves from other Web3 items such as crypto, such as blockchain. So as you know, if you go on NBA Top Shot, you can buy NFTs with credit cards. Okay. And yet we are in a crypto winter where there was this negative halo effect that because of the crypto winter and the FTX chaos, everybody thinks it's in all one basket, but that's not the case.
No, I think you're right about that. I guess the part that I'm trying to understand in terms of how to explain to people, and I'd love to hear your take on this, is what are people missing about NFTs and Web3 in terms of this concept of Web3 being that people can own their own assets, right? So technically, it could sit on their own self-custody wallet or
Mhm.
something along those lines. Are you going that far down the road, or is it more important that we've just gotten this technology out there that people can then leverage? You have the signed digital copy or whatever it is. What's most important here?
What's most important to us, Joe, is important to understand that we do not mint NFTs. We do not deal in crypto. We do not do digital wallets. We do not do NFT marketplaces or auction houses. We are Switzerland, okay?
Okay.
We work with all of the IP content owners as well as the marketplaces that come to us and say, we would like APIs to get into your database to get the digitized image of the autograph, the metadata, as well as the smart contract. And that's what we do. So we make sure that we are neutral and work with any platform and any IP creator.
Brilliant. Okay. That makes a lot more sense because it seems like that's the sort of business that has been absent in this latest stage of the development around blockchain. And I know the outgrowth is blockchain and then cryptocurrencies, NFTs, yes. And I understand that there's a lot of maybe some misunderstanding around it, especially a lot of negativity around that space as well currently. But I think through troubles, hopefully we'll start to see growth across the board. But I think what you're doing right now makes a lot of sense. Where do you see this stuff going in the next 2 and then maybe 5 years, which I know is a far larger challenge to think about?
Sure. So let me tell you the 5 key markets that we're focusing on. The 5 key markets we are looking at and have irons in the fire and look at some Q1, Q2 launches are sports, music, art and fashion, TV and movie production studios, and social media influencers. We are quickly getting past the point, Joe, where NFTs are being bought for collectible or art sake. What we are starting to do is working with brand managers. We're starting to work with ad agencies. Remember, we're a B2B company, okay? And the reason is we are now looking at back-end tokenization. So let me give you an example. Hypothetically, you get an NFT and Beyonce releases a new album cover. And the fact is, you buy the new album cover, it's autographed and signed digitally using our technology by Beyonce, but there's a back-end token because Beyonce is a spokesperson and an ambassador for Armani. So imagine, if you will, you basically buy the Beyonce NFT from the marketplace that she chooses that is using our technology. And once you have that NFT, you now go into Armani and you get a 15% off any type of Armani jacket that costs over $100. So what is happening now is brand managers and ad agencies are realizing that NFTs can be used to get closer to fans, to actually drive fan and consumer demand, and you can actually e-commerce enable your NFTs.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you're building a community, right? So you're
Yes.
driving additional revenue or just community around certain types of things, depending on your angle of that, which makes total sense. Um, so one of the questions that always comes to mind when I think about these things, because we're still early days with all of this, is, dare I say, the R word, the regulation word.
Yes.
At some point, some consider, not your organization or what you're working on right now, but in the bigger picture, could this stuff be considered a security? Is it something that people have to think about?
I think the answer is yes.
Huh.
Absolutely, because if you have a NFT, one of one, of a 1952 Mickey Mantle rookie baseball card that is valued at $4 million, and you want to start selling off shares of that, you are basically selling off an investment security. So the answer is absolutely yes. I think what we are going to see is, in the next 2 to 3 years, to your point, we as an industry will do a lot of self-regulation. I think we have to, because if crypto ever wants to come back and become mainstream, if NFTs want to become part of Gen Z and millennials collections that they keep on their smartphones, this is one of the things that people have to get comfortable with the safety and security and the validation of what they are buying. And it's no different than anything else you invest your money in. One of the things, for example, is we say to people when they ask us the question, what are you doing, Michael? Why do you need the validation? Why do you need this? Well, in 2021, on a global basis, about 45 billion with a B, $45 billion was the collectibles market in the physical world. Stamps, antiques, art, those sorts of things. Whenever you go to an auction house, whenever you go to an art gallery, 100% of the time, you get a certificate of authenticity, and the auction house or the gallery will not put anything up for sale unless they understand the provenance of where it comes from. In the same year, 2021, $41 billion globally of NFTs were bought. There was no way that any of those marketplaces were saying, we can guarantee that this NFT of Mickey Mouse, going back to Steamboat Willie, came from the Disney studios. There is no way that this is being done. So we feel very good about the fact that we're coming to the market, and the people that own the content, own the IP, own the rights, they now realize that with our technology and working with marketplaces, that they have the ability to protect and create additional revenue streams, decoupling the physical asset from the digital asset. And that happens.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. No, I appreciate that. So maybe just digging a little bit deeper on the security aspect, just because I'm kind of curious. So your Mickey Mantle example, which I thought was a great one, if it's fractionalized, which is what you described as basically taking, it could be any work of art and saying multiple people can actually own this because the actual asset is then fractionalized almost into shares, right? Or tokenized. And then that's divvied off in different directions. And sometimes people can, bid that up or whatever the case is.
Mhm.
But the original Mickey Mantle card, let's pretend you have that $4 million card somewhere locked away. Is that a security?
Good question. The fact is, can in fact, so let me go back here. First of all, I am not an SEC lawyer.
Fair enough.
Don't ask me these questions. But let's talk about a card. Okay. So here is one of my favorite baseball cards of all time. One of my favorite players, Bobby Bonita, right?
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay. Even though I have this card, Joe, I do not own the image to this.
Hmm,
The image to that is owned by Topps.
right.
Okay. So when in fact somebody goes and says, I am going to make an NFT out of this card, it cannot be done. You're breaking the law because it's an illegal derivative. That's what they call these things. So I believe, okay, the baseball card itself is a physical item. When in fact you say, I am going to sell shares in this physical item, I don't know, sounds to me like something that needs to be regulated.
Okay, fair enough. I definitely appreciate that. So when you're out talking about all certified in the B2B world, how often these days do you have to sort of describe the technology, the ends here, the point of this new evolution of where we're going with digital assets? Is that something you feel like people all understand now, or is there a lot of education that's involved in that?
A tremendous amount of education. And I say to people in these conversations, I am now splitting my time between growing the company, doing deals, putting together projects, organizing relationships, and missionary work, explaining to them what is happening here, what is going on, Web3, crypto, blockchain, NFT, metaverse, DeFi. They're different. Don't please don't glom them all together and say, oh, fraud, scams, I'm not getting involved, because each has a different personality and each has a different path to where it's going to go regarding growth and acceptance in the mainstream.
Yeah, it's funny because I've been in the industry, I guess, going back to 2011, originally with Bitcoin for better for worse, and went through the iterations of 2017, the highs and lows of the ICO era. And you're right, they are very different. Then the NFTs, built NFTs, played around with NFTs for quite some time, working and talking about and metaverse at this stage. DeFi certainly is a part of that. I think the bigger thing that is going on that I grapple with in terms of trying to describe this sort of thing is the change that I think has truly altered everything is blockchain. And that's my personal opinion, but I'd love to hear your take on that. That is a foundational change the way that we interact with digital assets. Now you can create an NFT based on the proper blockchain, whatever blockchain you choose, and you can do things with it. You can tokenize assets, which I think has created these industries just like what you're working on right now. Um, Is it related to the crypto world? Not necessarily, but they're in the same family, let's say. But you're right. There should be some sort of divide because right now there's a lot of people looking into that are new, or like I hear about crypto, it seems like scammy left and right, which there is a component of that, unfortunately. But the overarching view on this is that there's immense opportunity around the world for all sorts of things that are going to leverage this technology. Um, I'd love to hear a little bit more about maybe a little about the technology, but to help me understand a bit more about what that signature looks like. Because when I deal with, on the technical side, a digital signature, it's based on the certificate that I have that I'm identifying. Maybe it's my own wallet, whatever the case is. I'm certifying that, yes, this is something that I'm signing and is true to be something that I've sort of authorized, so to speak. What does it look like on the AllCertified side around this aspect of the signature part?
Great question. So when let me give you an example here. So clearly the industry leader in remote and digital signatures at this point in time is DocuSign. DocuSign's a fine product. Okay, clearly it is a major industry leader, tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue. That's fine. But the fact remains is I am on the road. And what happens is I get a DocuSign email to sign a contract. I'm on the road. I don't have access. You call me up and I say to you, hey, Joe, you know something? I'm expecting this to come through. Here is my email address. Go into it. Here is my password and go ahead and approve it. Okay. It happens. It happens. What is important about our technology is once an individual signs up, and right now we are in the Apple Store and we're also in Google Play. Once somebody signs up and has, in fact, an activated account, they can go on their app and they then see the different items that have been teed up and the different NFTs that are waiting for them to approve the signature. And what happens then is these come up one by one. And biometrically and with AI authentication, you have to look at these and say, yes, no, yes, yes, no. And why do we do this? Because Madonna doesn't wake up one morning, sees 300 NFTs, gives her phone to her secretary and says, I'm going shopping, and you approve all of them. This is why in our technology, each and every NFT, each and every request for an authenticated digitized blockchain signature, the individual, the talent, the person whose signature is, has the control. And we make sure biometrically that it is authenticated, that it is them that is actually okaying it.
Fascinating. So this makes a lot of sense, but a few little pieces I'm trying to put together in my own head.
Okay, good. Okay.
So I'm Madonna, and I'm reviewing all these possible, let's say 300 that people have submitted. Hey, can you please sign this? Whatever, I'll pay you, I don't know, $1,000 if you sign this particular piece. She's reviewing that, and then she is digitally signing it. So it's basically a public key or private key on her side, but a public key that says stamp, this is signed, and maybe she physically, whatever, she adds it to that particular image. Where is the store that allows me as a random person to verify that that is her particular public key?
Okay, so what happens is, again, remember, we are working with a marketplace or an auction site that is going to put that up for sale. So in addition to us being able to provide the image of the authenticated signature, there is in fact the metadata, and there is in fact the smart contract that goes along with that during the minting process.
Okay. So it goes back to that aspect of it.
Exactly right.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Well, my goodness. All right, so I may have one other question, but I'd love to hear if there's any other thoughts that you have that you'd like to describe about the business, what you're working on,
Sure.
forward looking on that side.
So I'll tell you quite honestly why on this side, we are so incredibly optimistic and excited about the upside because, people of a certain age on this call, I look at your bookcase. I have a bookcase. When we get collectibles, when we get a piece of art, I see a piece of art back there, Joe. I mean, you see some of the things that I have. When I get an autographed baseball, when I get a jersey, when I get a helmet, people of a certain age, we put it on the wall or we put it in the bookcase. If you look at Gen Z and if you look at millennials, this is where they're living. They are living in the world of digitized smartphone. This is an appendage to their being.
Well said.
And the reason we are so, excited about this is because in the next generation of collectibles and collectors, this is where the collections will be.
No, I 100% agree with you. No question whatsoever. When do we hit critical mass for this, do you think?
I think we're going to hit critical mass a lot sooner than we think because we are talking to record labels, we are talking to athletes, we are talking to street artists that have major followings. And we're talking about followings on social media. As a social media individual, you can now turn your posts into NFTs to have customized posts. We have one particular breakdancer that did a special collection of breakdance moves that he created as a collectible piece. I think what is going to happen, I believe, within the next 2 to 3 year window, you're going to see people not only collecting them for their uniqueness and their specialness, but as I mentioned before, the VIP aspects on the back end. Oh, you bought a special, you bought a special edition of my breakdances as an NFT. Well, there is a token on the back. I'm coming to your city and you're going to get a backstage meeting with me.
Yeah, that's been an amazing thing to sort of see evolve. I mean, Bored Ape Yacht Club did that for the last 2 years at NYC NFT. I've seen other organizations literally just launch NFTs that are passes to clubs or passes to websites. We were able to do all sorts of things. And so many people have not even thought about that as of yet, especially the larger organizations, which I think are still trying to wrap their heads around this on the marketing side. But immense potential, no question.
Okay.
Well, goodness, anything else that you'd like to mention?
No, Joe, I have really enjoyed the time this morning. This has been an excellent opportunity. Clearly, you are knowledgeable, and I have to, congratulate you for getting up to speed, being able to talk the talk and understand what the industry is all about. And I really enjoy having these conversations with not knowledgeable people that can have, very, very excellent dialogues with us.
Well, I appreciate it so much, Michael. I really do. So wonderful. Thank you so much. And hopefully we'll talk soon.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jay. Take care.